Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Live Company Group investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please simply type in your question at any time and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. I'd now like to hand over to Chairman David Ciclatera. Good afternoon, or good morning, should I say to you, David?
Good morning. We're going to run a slide presentation just to bring everybody up to date, and then we'll welcome your questions. So perhaps if we start with the slides. Just to remind everybody, those who are new to the company and those who are here, have been here for some time, what is our vision and who are we? Our vision is to be a premier provider of live and online events across music, art, sports, and brick-based tours and shows. We're an AIM-listed business, obviously, with 4 divisions. Bricklive, which is toy-based tours, shows, and consumer kits. K-pop Europa, which is a joint venture company which runs and owns the rights to K-pop.fest. Obviously, Live Company Sports and Entertainment, which is a company that is involved with Formula E and other sports events. And we have an investment in Start, which is a physical and curated digital art platform. Okay, if we could move a slide forward. This is to talk about Formula E. We launched, it's been a busy time since we last spoke to you, actually. I think it was a month ago, and the images and discussions that we're looking at today are what we have achieved over the last 30 days. Formula E, we launched the track 1 year out in Cape Town, and I'd like to share with you a video which I think is next.
It's so exciting to be here. It's lovely to see the project coming together. Really excited about the launch today. It's been a few years we've been working on this project now, and there's nothing better than seeing the track plan going up on the big screen and seeing the excitement around it. It's been wonderful working with the team and the Live Company Group out of London. It's been a real treat, and everybody is very, very excited about it.
Live Company is not just a shareholder in the project, but also Live Company Sports and Entertainment here is the company that puts everything together.
Correct. So basically we have a management contract to project manage and deliver the whole Formula E, which is a 5-year contract plus a 5-year extension. So we've got a team here that's building up slowly. It's going to have to grow over the next couple of months. But yes, in the end, we're in charge of the staging event.
We needed to feel a little bit the ethos of this country. You know, it was so important for us to cover this market. There is a lot of people in our ecosystem, teams, drivers, manufacturers, that they're really willing to come here, and obviously we're delighted to do so.
It's going to be fantastic because we are in a very fantastic place, very fantastic area around an iconic stadium. And so from now to the race, we have a lot of things to do to prepare the track and to prepare the event. But I'm convinced it's going to be a huge event with a lot of people. So we're really looking forward to it.
The track is going to be, I think, one of the fastest one that we have ever done in Formula E, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very fast racetrack. We walked it yesterday and kind of laid out a bunch of different things and made a few changes. It's going to be absolutely spectacular.
You know, Formula E is just amazing. Now you look at the major capital cities of the world. What way do they want to go? They want to go with the sustainability. They want to go with power from the E.
Formula E was the first sport in the world to achieve net zero carbon certification since inception, which means that literally all the CO2 emissions have been neutralized.
I think Formula E will create the sustainability aspect of our long-term destination marketing. We'll be seen as a green, conscious destination, which is what we need. It's the right timing for the right event.
It's going to change and revolutionize our city, because it's going to bring us and put us right in the middle of tourism and bring in massive international investment from tourism sector and also from an investment business side of things.
So an event like this is sort of like takes us to the next level. You can just imagine the conferencing and the business meetings that happen around a Formula E. You can think of every electrical engineer and everybody in the battery technology world is going to be here in the southern tip of Africa watching a Grand Prix, but also infecting and influencing a future economy. So it's a huge thing for us. It really is.
I think it could be a major catalyst for change here in Cape Town. We are also, as a city, doing a significant investment in renewable power. 300 to 400 megawatts of renewable power in the city coming online in the next few years. So there is definitely a change happening in the city, and we would love Cape Town to be seen as being at the forefront of that transition from fossil fuel power to renewable power over the coming years. So that's great.
We've designed the track. We have done working drawings for the track. Tenders are have been fulfilled, and the work will start very, very soon. And you will see us racing here in 2023.
So that's Formula E. We launched that a week ago, and it's going to be a very exciting project. Just to remind you, we are a shareholder, a 20% shareholder in the promoting company, but we also have the international sponsorship rights, and we also have a staging contract to stage the event locally through our local live company sports entertainment. We could move on to the next slide. Exciting week last week, actually. We started with Formula E, and last Sunday was the Cape Town Cycle Tour, which we look after the sponsorship rights for Pick and Pay, and we've been doing that for a long time, and hopefully a long time going forward. That was a huge success, 25,000 riders, I think in the rain, actually. If we move on to the next slide, that shows you some of the images from the race. Next. Also last week, obviously Eddie Jordan and his wife, Marie Jordan, who's a photographer, we launched Start Plus in Cape Town. As we've announced at the beginning of the year, we're going to be featuring Start Plus exhibitions throughout the year in different countries. These Start Plus artworks are sold on our platform, and it's a way of growing our Start Plus brand. We move on. Of course, we started as a company with Bricklive, and we announced last week that Bricklive Animal Paradise is going to Oklahoma City Zoo, which is a very good contract for us. We're not allowed to explain to you exactly how much, but it was a well-deserved victory for our team who sell the zoos. And today, of course, we've just launched tickets for Bricklive in the Park. This is our first exhibition show back where kids can touch and feel the bricks, and that's going to be in Battersea Park in the Evolution in August. We've got questions about that later. Nicola, my colleague, will be very happy to answer them. That's the first exhibition post-pandemic, and we're looking to introduce, if you look going in the weeks going forward, you'll find announcements for other such events. And of course, there's K-Pop Flex. K-Pop Flex tickets are continually selling for the Sunday. There's the ticket update. Carry on. We launched our merchandising on platform 10 days ago, and we signed a merchandising deal for Frankfurt, and it came with a significant minimum guarantee. Now, for an unknown brand to actually receive a minimum guarantee is quite surprising. We had a tender out where we finally decided on our partner, and we were paid up front, so it was as good as it can be got. Next, please. And again, this Monday, we launched the fact that we are creating live company productions. Streaming is going to be a very important part of the K-pop.flex world, and we will be looking to expand our streaming as we build new editions of the festival. and it was felt that we needed to build our own production business. So we've just started that. That is going to come under Simeon Pines, who's worked with the company for since its inception, actually. And so we will start with a small group of people. Basically, it's contractors, but we are basically in charge of creating that production. So I think that that's the end of the presentation. So
that's great. David, thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your slides and your presentation this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. I just want David and the team take a few moments to review those questions submitted during today's meeting. I'd like to remind you that the recording of this presentation, along with the copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your Investor Meet Company dashboard, and we'll make you aware of that by email when that's ready for your review. David, we did receive a number of pre-submitted questions ahead of today's event, and we've received a number throughout your presentation. So perhaps, if I may, I could start off with the first one, which is, what exactly can we expect from the FanFest? Will it be open to the public like a marketplace?
The FanFest is running on the Saturday and the Sunday. It's funded in its entirety by Korean Tourist Office. We were very surprised, actually honoured, I guess, that the Korean government jumped on the opportunity to promote Korea. And it will be open, if I'm memory, from 10 in the morning till just before the performance. It's open not to the members of the public per se, it's open to the people who bought tickets. And it will be, therefore, be attended by like 40,000 people. In Frankfurt, it's just opposite the stadium. Frankfurt's blessed, it has a lot of land, so it'll be within literally 2 minutes walk from the stadium. And will feature all kinds of things. It will feature, obviously, there'll be merchandising sold there, but there will be all things Korean. So there will be, Koreans love their fried chicken. So there'll be food, all kinds of Korean food. There will be Korean fashion. There will also be teaching, there's stages. So they'll be teaching people Korean K-pop moves. There will be cultural things, which explain the background of Korean. Many of the K-pop fans want to learn Korean, so there'll be the opportunity to do a bit of that, and pretty much everything that is Korean. We hope that it will be, or we know, I think that it'll be a success, and it will grow every year. So as we go forward in Frankfurt, it's envisaged that it will be a bigger edition every year. And as many of you know, we are looking to establish other K-pop fests. So the Korean government are very interested in the potential collaboration going forward.
That's great. Thank you, David. I might join a pre-submitted question, which is, do we propose to use a company for streaming? And then a question from Jack. So thank you, Jack, for your question. Will the K-pop festival be streamed live? And how much revenue do you think the streaming would generate?
Well, in the case of Frankfurt, it won't be streamed live because the partner SBS is making a TV program which runs 10 days later. So we've agreed with SBS that we will be running our streaming in parallel with them, because otherwise, if you streamed it, they would have no value back in Korea. We will be hopefully running elements of streaming that won't be the performances during the early stages of the concert. Going forward, for the other events that we'll be running, we will be looking to stream live, and that will be basically a major platform when we're looking to negotiate with bands going forward. In terms of revenue, obviously it depends. People buy the various elements of the streams. The current pricing is $25 per stream, and honestly, all our modelling it ranges from several hundred thousand to several million. So at the end of the day, the first one will be an experiment for us. Going forward, I see the streaming revenue as very significant. We, by the way, retain 60% of the revenue.
Thank you, David. If I stick with the theme, the question reads as follows: I see 18,000 tickets were sold for K-pop Day 2. How do you propose to boost Day 2 sales?
Well, they're selling every day, and we expect that the number will be the same as Day 1 by the time we get to the actual festival. We have never really spent money to do any promotion, and we're now beginning to promote in various cities. So we'll be spending Pacific ad tech money in France and Netherlands, etc. Most of the tickets that have been sold to date have been sold in Germany. But I think the lesson to be learned, because you always learn from everything you do, we initially were going to do 2 days in year 2. Because we sold out in year 1, we felt it was the right thing to do 2 days. Going forward, obviously the tickets will be sold not as individual tickets per se, they will be sold as a weekend ticket, and then for those who want to just buy one, they'll be able to buy 1 day. But the primary focus will be to be selling a weekend ticket as one.
That's great. I'll turn to a question from Jack again. Jack asks, will there be another K-pop festival in 2022? And how many festivals will there be in 2023?
Our current model is to be running at least 2 in 2022, potentially maybe 3, but I would be conservative and say 2. We're looking at 2023, minimum 3, maximum 4.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. And Neil, I hope that addresses your question, which I think was a similar nature to that. If I turn to a question from Martin, thank you, Martin. The K-pop Flex opportunity is clearly very large. Please could you provide some details of the roadmap for K-pop Flex over the next few years?
Well, I think if you look back, it was an idea that we had. We signed our contract in middle of December. We were a bit taken aback how successful the reaction was. And obviously, when you run a live event, you tend to have more than 4 months planning to do it. So everything this year has been about a very short time to get things done. We are determined to make sure that the first festival that we run in Frankfurt will be successful, not just for the artists, but for the fans. We're delighted that the Korean government came forward and funded the K-pop Fest because that was something, again, we had in our minds to do in year 2. The roadmap going forward is we believe that we need to build upon K-pop.fest in terms of flex in festivals. We've been approached by lots of different people. We now have to decide as a group where we want to run them, what are the best markets for us to run them in, and how are we going to basically monetize that. And I again remind shareholders that we are a 50% shareholder in KPE. KPE is the rights holder. And so we make our money from the tickets. The first monies going into tickets go to the promoter so that their costs are covered. Then our model is to receive 50% of that. And for those, the day 1 was 16,000 tickets, and after that, we earned 50%. We own the streaming rights outright. We own the merchandising outright, albeit that 25% of the merchandising rights on site go to the local promoter, but they have to pay for the costs relating to the sales. We have a very large percentage. By memory, it's over 60% of the sponsorship revenues, and obviously, we obviously have significant opportunities going forward. In going forward, there is no need for us to invest. The promoter will be the investor of the costs relating to artists. Our job will be to basically ensure that we get the right artists. We're very, very keen to ensure that we get the maximum revenue from the streaming. Hence why we've set up the production company. But everything we've created is based around we own the rights. And so as we roll this out, there should be significant returns to the company, live company.
Thank you, David. If I may switch gears slightly and maybe talk about around the production company, we had a pre-submitted question. What exactly is meant by a production company? But I'd like to add that to Robert's question, who says, is creating your own production company a risk on the first and most important streaming of the live event?
No, because the production of the first event is actually done by SPS. The entire production is physically funded and paid for by them. We basically are creating a production company so that any additional footage we will create and the editing of or additional editing to the program that's produced by SPS will be done by us. What I'm keen to do is to build the talent pool. Apart from Simeon, who's worked with the company from day one, Live Company, there are no staff. So don't get worried, we haven't got massive overheads or whatever. It's basically a way of bringing together the contractors, basically ensuring that we have a team. And as we go forward, we will basically then be in a position to grow with the needs that we need. So if we're working with SBS on certain markets, we may be doing events going forward that we will be doing the production. But the production will be entirely funded by third parties, so it's not a risk to Live Company. I just felt it was so important to bring a team together. We've started this, as I said, back in December. We had no staff on this project other than myself and the legal lady who works with us, Liz, who spent all the months putting this together. So really, we're now using some of our additional staff, adding some staff, but there's a huge amount to do for this festival. And going forward, if you talk about running, say, 4 or 5 festivals globally, there's significant uptake of knowledge that we need to do.
Thank you very much indeed, David. We've had a couple of questions, one from Daniel and others around fundraising. And if I may read the following, there have been a number of fundraisers during the past year or so. When do you expect the business to be self-funding?
Well, I think we should just remember that over the last 2 years, we're an events company and we've been part of a pandemic. The fact that we've been running at all, you could argue, given that our events business was a children's business that involved a lot of interactive. We redeveloped our business to create touring models, which didn't require people to go close to each other. And obviously that had a huge effect on the company's ability to trade. I was very happy to lend money right at the very beginning and have always supported the company. But we were basically building, surviving, if you like every company. Many of these companies, like Live Company, no longer exist. A year ago, I decided that we needed to think about new things, and we raised some money at that time, a small amount of money, so that we could develop what became Formula E and what became Kpop.flex. Yesterday's fund announcement is the first time that the company is not defensive. It's raising money because it is now going forward. And the money that we raised was really to develop things like the production element that were so important. You must remember that we don't receive the monies from tickets, etc., until after the concerts continued. So obviously we need to get from A to B. I'm also very, I think it's been stressed in the press release that actually we basically raise money from one institution. And I felt it's very important that the shareholder balance of this company moves towards being institutional. And and of course you'll all have to wait and see who the institution is. But the reality is it's a super blue chip institution who really wanted to buy into this company and wants to continue supporting this company. So are we going to do fundraisers going forward? There should be no reason to do that on the current way we're going forward. But on the other hand, we're building a business now that is growing so fast that you can never say never. But this has been done so we can get to the stage where we do become self-funding and extremely cash positive.
Thanks, David. Turning to John's question, thank you, John. Reference the eFest in Cape Town. Will tickets be sold for that event, and what revenue is that for Live Company Group?
eFest in Cape Town, it's really about creating an experience. For example, there will be a sustainability conference, and we're working with a company that is an expert in that area. They run it, they take the risk, we take a percentage of their fees. We will be developing an art activity, which obviously is primarily the funding will come back to Live Company's Start brand. We're also toying with the idea of, in year one, running a concert, because you can see we're next to a stadium. Again, that it should bring us money back to Live Company. But we're concentrating in the main on ensuring that the race itself is profitable. And so these ideas are in development, but in the main, there will be always an element that will come back to Live Company.
Thanks, David. David, we are coming up to half an hour, and I know you were very keen to answer all the questions that you can from investors. Are you happy that I carry on posing these questions to you? Time-wise, we're okay to carry on going?
Just carry on.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. Well, let's turn to a question from Graham. Thank you, Graham. Will Live Company now only concentrate on the existing businesses and not keep branching out into new areas?
Well, we've got 4 divisions, as I explained right at the beginning. To repeat what they are, obviously there's Bricklive, and I'm so proud that Bricklive is doing so well. I mean, it's announcing almost every week a new show, a new activity, and that obviously is something we all know about. The sports and entertainment area, I'm sure we will be developing that within that brand. The Formula E is our focus to date. Kpop.flex, as you know, is a brand new division, and the art side is something that I believe in and I've always believed in, and I believe will grow, and we have plans to develop that as well. Do I say, are we never going to do something else? I don't think that we are certainly not looking to do things outside those 4 divisions. I think what we've come out, we started the pandemic, indeed, up until very recently, we were only one thing, bricks. We're now 4 different areas, all complementary, all involving a live aspect, and I'm very keen to concentrate on building those divisions. By far, I think the most activity in terms of shareholder return will come through the Kpop.flex initiative, and obviously you only have to look at the various opportunities we have there. But I repeat, I'm extremely excited by today's news. We are back doing an event in the centre of London on the Bricklive, and I personally believe that we're also going to be launching, we've said, a digital version of Bricklive. I think we've also moved from just being live to being digital, so that's an important thing.
Thank you. Turning again, if I may, back to K-pop, Jack asks, can you update us on the K-pop sponsorship and how much it may be potentially worth?
We are in discussions with various companies, but again, you must remember that we only signed a deal in December for a show in May, and it's the norm for most sponsors that they buy a year out. So they will be planning their 2023 budgets now, not 2022 in 4 months. I feel confident that we will have sponsorship support, and the sponsorship support would be multi-year, not just single year. Obviously, I know what we are looking to try and achieve, and the sponsorship packages, there are 2 presenting sponsors, are €350,000 a piece. So going forward, I'm very keen on the potential of building a global Kpop.fest tour, which obviously enhances the opportunities for sponsorship on a global basis.
Thanks ever so much, David. Just a quick question, one of the pre-submitted one. What's the cost of the venue for Bricklive in the park? What the cost of tickets, and what's the break even on ticket sales?
I'm going to leave that to Nicola, I think.
Okay, so I can answer the ticket price is £20 per ticket, irrespective of age. Beyond that, I don't think I can actually give the venue price. Is that correct, David?
No, actually, that's confidential. I can add that we are not paying a huge amount, but obviously you'd understand that under contracts, what we pay is obviously confidential, and equally the break even is something that we obviously something that we would obviously have between ourselves. But we are budgeted to make a profit, and I see no reason why we won't.
That's great. Thank you, David and Nicola. Turning to John A's question. Thank you, John. Have StartArt sold any NFTs?
We've basically sold 2, I think, to date, but we've basically developing how we're going to go forward with the NFT market. We've had discussions for some time, and we are basically working on that going forward.
We've got a few more questions, if I may. I guess one around share price. Can you see the share price getting back to the old highs of 80p?
Well, I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe that, would I?
I think it's a fairly standard
just
answer.
sorry if I can just interject. I mean, obviously we can't. Sorry, it's Sarah here. Sarah Dees. We can't comment on the share price as the rules don't allow. But as David alluded to, you know, we're all here working hard to ensure that that share price does move from where it is. So we're undervalued where we are. That's my opinion, not the company's opinion, based on what our assets are and also the projections from K-pop. So yeah, I think we're undervalued, and we definitely would like to see the share price higher than where it is right now.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. Turning onto a couple of questions around K-pop Flex. One from Merle, who asks, what are the plans to market K-pop Flex? Most of your target audience already know you on social media, I guess. So are there any further plans remarketing?
Nicola, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. I will definitely answer that. So yes, the people following us on social media are the people who purchase tickets predominantly for our shows. However, the K-pop followers in general and people who would be interested in purchasing the merchandise extend much, much further than that. A lot of people, for example, in the United Kingdom are not able to attend that particular concert that it falls during their A-level and GCSE times, but yet they are still very interested in the future of it and the actual K-pop.flex brand itself. So with our targeted marketing through social media channels, etc., that we are aiming at, we believe we'll be able to go ahead and access that entire K-pop following within Europe.
If I could just add, for those who don't know, obviously by far the most successful K-pop band is BTS. BTS's marketing is pure genius, because what they did is they built a group of fans who are known as the Army. And the Army, I think, is 20 million odd fans who pay money every month to be part of that army. So when BTS launched, for example, recently, its Las Vegas 4 shows, they were sold within 1 minute because they didn't have to sell them. The army bought them. My vision, because everything is about, I suppose, having a vision, is that K-pop.flex, the brand, becomes very similar to the marketing that BTS have done. All of these other management groups, there's 4 or 5 management groups inside Korea, and they all obviously represent different bands. The idea of creating a festival was based around the fact that individual bands never were able to sell more than 10,000 seats at a time, whereas BTS could come in and sell 75,000 4 nights in a row. So what we intend to do post-Frankfurt is to build upon the K-pop.flex brand so that it becomes a must-go-to K-pop experience, because I believe that what we are doing in Europe and what we could potentially do in other markets will be basically deliver more and more fans. The streaming opportunity, supposing you stream 1 million fans, at the end of the day, they're fans for other things. And the interesting thing is the bands that we have are all different. So I guess the vision is ultimately to produce our own army. And if we're able to do that, you know, you can see what BTS have done.
I think, just to add to that, David, the main thing with K-pop fans is that it's a totally different genre than anyone else could imagine. The fans themselves have a loyalty to the music itself and to particular bands, and providing we deliver as we have promised to do and give them a show that not only just in the content but the actual fan experience lives up to the expectations, then I think that's how we will develop a loyal following.
Thanks ever so much, Nicola. Jack asks, how are merchandise sales going on the website?
Just started. We've actually made sales, and the main reason to start so early was that we want to experiment with what we design. So some of the stuff that I think the hoodies went particularly well, but the great thing is we're getting a lot of reaction. So we had a merchandising meeting this morning. They're putting in new designs, new products, so everything is based around the fact that, as Nicola's just said, the fans are pretty vocal. They let you know what they want. And so I see the merchandising online developing, obviously, very much, as we've just said. We will be offering merchandising with the streaming, so that online capacity is very important. But right now, we're using it very much as not only to sell, obviously, but really to make sure that what we're putting out in Frankfurt is what they want to receive. And so, as you know, we haven't launched our plush toy yet. Its design is there. It's on some merchandising. But I go back to the basics that we only signed a contract in December. We've got the merchandising out. It is online. It is all happening. And as Nicola's just said, it's all about the delivery. If we could deliver to these fans, then the word's your oyster, really.
Thank you, David. David, there was one bit of the production question that John A asked that I didn't ask you, so perhaps I could just revisit that just very briefly. Is that, do you have to purchase all the video stroke camera equipment, or is it hired in relation to?
No, we don't purchase anything. We never would. No one will purchase anything. If we have an E&G crew, say, of 2 cameras and sound, etc., we just hire them. It's just a hire.
Thank you. Neil, thank you, Neil, for your question. And perhaps I can throw this at you, David. Are you able to provide an estimate of what revenue the Frankfurt Fest brings in its entirety across tickets, merchandise, and streaming? And would future shows be even more profitable?
I can't tell you the numbers because that would be wrong, but I can help you think through what they might be. You know that the average price of the ticket net to us after Ticketmaster and everything, because we've said this before, is 70 euros. So you can do some maths, you can work that out. And in terms of the sponsorship, if we were to sell out, the sponsorship would bring in about $1 million. Then you've got the streaming, and the streaming is pretty much governed by the fact that is what we're able to stream in Frankfurt will be different to what we'll be able to stream in forthcoming shows, because the rights that were bought for Frankfurt, some of the bands included their streaming, some of them didn't. We do have the streaming rights of the whole show, so we're able to estimate that. And again, I've told you what we would be looking to sell to the individuals at $25. In terms of merchandising, we have a very significant 6-figure guarantee that's already been paid. The average, if you look at the average spend at a BTS concert, it's obviously a lot more, but they would be kids can spend up to $200 per head on merchandise. We've modeled everything on something so much smaller, but there's going to be, if you think of the 2 days, 60,000 fans there, and you can work it out again. We are basically, we make 75% of the profits. So again, you'd be able to add that up as well. So that's really, obviously there's VIP tickets, there's all kinds of additional smaller things. Frankfurt will be profitable, but as we've said, we will invest as much as possible to ensure that the experience is good. Going forward, some of the events, I believe, will be less big and some will be much bigger. So it depends on the scale of the stadium. And obviously, just to help you again, in Los Angeles, the BTS people, it's publicly stated, I think they sold $13 million of tickets. So everything is relevant to the different sizes of the stadium or whatever. So I hope that helps you, but I'm sorry I can't tell you the numbers, but we feel very excited that it will obviously be a significant revenue, cash and profit contribution to Live Company.
Thank you. We've got a couple more questions, if I may, David. One from Sophie. Thank you very much indeed for your question, Sophie. You want to release your own K-pop Flex light stick. How do you want it to compete with the actual band light sticks the fans are all really fond of?
Well, I've actually I got given a model of what we're going to be selling the other day. And it is a light stick that changes the colors, but won't be because of the timing, synced to the music. When we have the time, and it takes 4 months usually, I think. So for the next festival we do, we will definitely have light sticks that sync to the music. The light stick I saw the other day had 5 different colors, I think, and was what you describe as manual rather than syncing to the music. So that's where we are.
Thank you, David. And then perhaps if I could end with a question from Jamie, who asks, is the end goal of K-pop Flex to sell this division?
Well, it's quite interesting because someone valued the division at an extraordinarily large sum of money the other day and asked me the same question: will we ever sell it independently? I'm just keen to get the first festival away, really, and to build it. But obviously, it adds significant value to our bottom line and adds significant value. I won't go near the share price because I'll get told off, but it should do good things for the share price. But there is always the opportunity that somebody comes along and says, can we buy it off you? And then, of course, we'd be in a difficult position. We'd just be allocating large dividends, I guess.
Thank you, David. And sorry, I'm going to sneak one in from Robert, who's just put a question in. Are you expecting to issue a trading update with projections soon? Now we are pretty much post-pandemic.
We've had a lot of discussions internally about this, and what I would like to do, and this isn't finally decided, so it's just sharing with you as shareholders or potential shareholders our thoughts, are that we will obviously know a lot more post the May festival. So I think the current thinking, Sarah, if I'm right, is that we will be issuing an independent research note around that time that will be able to be based on facts as opposed to just assumptions. And I think that's what most people will look to see. And we're giving you updates now. I'm so happy that we're able to do these calls every month because I don't really follow the chat lines, but I know that there's lots of assumptions and stuff. It's kind of nice. We try and do this every month with you so we can answer questions as they come. But I think it's fair to say that second half of May is our targeted date. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah, correct.
Well, David, on that note, I might just jump in because you've answered every question from investors this morning. And thank you once again to everybody that's taken the time to submit in your questions to David and the team. David, I'll shortly redirect investors to provide you with their thoughts and expectations and their feedback. But before doing so, I wondered if I may just ask you for a few closing comments. And then, as I say, I'll redirect investors for their feedback.
If I go back to the beginning of the presentation, we did one of these, I think, 3 weeks ago. Was it 3.5 weeks ago? Everything you saw has happened since that date. So I'm pretty proud that we've done, and every division has done something. And, and particularly that Formula E, my God, it's taken us years almost to just an idea. And you saw how we're affecting the economy of South Africa. You saw the Premier of the Western Cape, you saw the Mayor of Cape Town. So those things, they make you very proud. K-pop is all about, we're moving so quickly, we know what we're doing, we think, but everything changes every day. There's always a different opportunity. On a personal front, I'm very, very focused on the streaming and what it is we need long term to make the streaming revenue come to fruition. I don't know if you saw, there was a piece of press the other day about BTS using a cinema network and how they made, I think it was $20 million or whatever. And that got us running, saying, well, God, why can't we be on that? So, as I said, it's a learning curve. The company's come out of pandemic. We lost a lot of people. People took salary cuts. Everybody didn't know whether there would be a business. So I guess we're delighted that today is a special moment that we're going to do a show in the centre of London for Bricklive. So if I sound enthusiastic, I am. If I'm proud of the people who are working in this company, I am. If I'm grateful for the shareholders' support that we've had, there are shareholders like myself who've seen their values go down throughout the pandemic. We're here to work together to increase that shareholder value. And I'd like to thank everybody who's here today for attending. I think it's a very good way of talking to you as shareholders. And unless there's some reason why not, the holiday, whatever, we intend to be here every month updating you. So thank you very much. I made the presentation that the institution bought off last week. I can't tell you how enthusiastic that institution was to invest in this company. And that also meant a lot to me personally and a lot to the team. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you in a month.
That's great, David, and to the rest of the team from Live Company Group. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as we'll now automatically redirect you in order that you can provide feedback so that David and the team can really better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Live Company Group, we'd like to thank you for attending today, and good morning to you all.